hiding in plain view, just like me, hard to see. Where is he? Can you see him? I'm a big guy. Let's just face facts. It's hard for me to hide in plain view. And out here in Tokyo, Japan, I stick out like a sore thumb. White people make up something like 0.2% of the population or something ridiculous like that. So being this huge tall dude that sticks out like a sore thumb, very hard to hide in plain view. But that's the whole thing about the shoe today. We're talking about hiding in plain view, because when you look at it, literally plain view means this very plain looking sneaker. It's like, yeah, that's a white sneaker, very cool, nice, let's move on to the next one. But it turns out there's just a bucket load, like seriously, a ton of tiny little details on this shoe that are absolutely fire. Now most of the stuff out there points to that red toe, and of course suede on the red toe, beautiful, OG, all that kind of stuff, yes. But actually when you go through the shoe and look at it in bit by bit, you find all these tiny little details that are absolutely fire and very, very cool. And it's those tiny little details that I want to show you today, to take out of hiding in plain view and have them visible in plain view. So without further ado, let's get into this and take a look at the upcoming release of the Reebok Question Mid red toe. This is the Tokyo About 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo About 23 Sneaker Channel, Des.毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today we're looking at that upcoming release of the Allen Iverson Reebok Question Mid red toe. Allen Iverson, man, I say it whenever I do his shoes, and this is probably the third or fourth question that I've had a look at, but I always talk about how awesome he was. I would say he was playing basketball late 90s, early noughties, as we called them in the UK. I don't know what other people called them out there. They said of him that, let's just be grateful that he isn't 6'8", like the big, huge basketball players, because, if he had been 6'8" and had all of those skills, nobody would have stood a chance. I think he was about 6'3", which isn't small. I'm 6'3", but for basketball, it's not at all a giant. But he just had skill. He was silky smooth on the court. You can watch his sort of highlights reels and just be like, man, that guy had it. And this was basically his signature shoe, the Reebok Question. And there's another one, I think it was Shaq, had the Shaqnosis as well, around about the same time, and Reebok were, a bigger deal than maybe they are right now on the basketball courts. But yeah, this was Allen Iverson's sort of signature shoe, and there were a lot of the, different sort of hits on it. And this one here, the OG, the suede red toe, is the big deal about this one. And we're going to get into that and look at the details on this. But first, we do actually have to mention, we could have worked this out. It's the 25th anniversary of this shoe, and it's 2020, so 1995. Assuming that it dropped fairly early in Allen Iverson's career, then we can guess like 95 to 2005 or something like that would have been the sort of span of his career. So hopefully I'm right in saying late 90s to early noughties. And yeah, it's the 25th anniversary, which is, it's the, what is it now? It's the 30th anniversary of the Jordan 5s. It's the 30th anniversary of the Air Max 90s. Of course, it's the 25th anniversary of the Air Max 95s. Simple math works that one out. 50th anniversary of the Adidas Superstar. So there's a bunch of anniversaries kicking off, and Reebok are not missing out with these guys here. And I'm going to take you through the details on the shoe. But before I do that, the one last thing I want to talk about is, yes, this is the men's, I don't like that definition, but men's size run. But there's also three others, because it's a full size run. A grade school. Now, it's not a great picture, I'll admit that. I haven't been able to find a great individual picture of the grade school shoes, or the preschool or the toddler shoes, which we'll show you in a minute. And there is a picture of them all together, like in a fan sort of thing, all four shoes together. But it's better to look at them one after the other. So here's the grade school one, which is very similar in silhouette and structure to the men's size run. But then when we get into the preschool one, you can see here they've lost, especially on that midfoot, you can see there isn't the same detailing on there. The number of eyelets has dropped and things like that. And then when we get into the toddler infant guy here, is totally different shoe. Very much you can see the sort of detailing on there, but it is still very much designed for a different kind of foot. Speaking of which, the satin snakeskin Air Jordan 1s that dropped recently, in the rest of the world they dropped in this full size run, and I was seriously thinking getting a pair for my little 2-year-old girl whose feet are about 15 centimeters. Don't know what that is in US or UK sizes, but they only dropped the full the larger size, the adult size. I think it was a women's men's only size actually, and only went up to like 29 centimeters here, which really frustrated me because I wanted to pay for my little girl. And then I was looking at these guys and I was thinking, should I, shouldn't I? I'll debate about that one, but they are very cool and very, very cute. So so that's the full size run, but back to the adult size. And yeah, I should call it, I'll call it adult size instead of men's size. And you can see it's a little bit different from the other ones, the grade school, preschool, and the toddler ones. But let's take a look at the details on there. Now, to me, it's a very white shoe, and that's the first place to start, is because it's apparently supple leather, and you can see, hopefully I've zoomed in on the green screen here, and you'll see that supple leather. I actually was thinking very much along the lines of tumbled leather, but it says supple, so not sure if that's the same thing or not, but you can see the quality and the sort of texture of the leather on there. And then staying sort of large on the lateral side of the shoe, it's got a very sort of red, white and blue vibe, almost Team USA colours. And I'll just do that quick nod to the Olympics being moved to 2021. I'm wondering if they were planning to drop this shoe in line, with the Olympics and Team USA and all that. And it's sort of a very red, white and blue sort of colourway. It's predominantly white, a lot of red, little blue if you want to go down sort of ranking the colours on the shoe. And then staying on the lateral side, the final thing to really look at on the upper is that Reebok branding on there, which comes in the blue that I was talking about before and then outlined in the red, so it does give that pop of red, white and blue on there. I think I'll stay on the lateral side and just drop down to the midsole, because the midsole is one of the great features on these shoes, and it's both fore and aft. You can see that hexa-like midsole cushioning system on there, very visible in both sort of halves of the shoe, and you can imagine the comfort level that gives you, especially when you're shooting hoops and you need that spring to shoot with. So so very visible on the lateral side with that hexa-like midsole and cushioning on there. And like I said, the same on the grade school, but when you get to the preschool and the toddlers, that kind of disappears. I don't know what's on the inside of those two, whether it's just covered up because they're smaller or if they've gone with a different technology on the inside, but it'd be interesting to note that. Okay, now other features on the shoe. Like I said, there's a lot of details on the shoe, and already we're on the lateral side and we've looked at many of the details on this guy, but I want to move up, and I don't know the better way to look at this, if it's on the lateral side or if it's looking from the front to see the sort of whole lacing system. Now what I read is this lacing system is called a Gilly lacing system, and what you can see is that the upper has holes punched, 6 of them I think it is, right along the lacing system there, and then through those holes like that, these sort of loops come in through the holes there, and then the laces loop into those loops, and on those loops you can see, I think in white writing on the red loops, but I might have it wrong, but you can see it here, the word Reebok all the way up the length of the sort of lacing system there, which is very, very cool. Now they call it a Gilly lacing system, and when it comes to Gilly, the only thing I can think about is Call of Duty. Don't know if there's any Call of Duty fans out there, but I used to play Call of Duty a lot before my little girl was born, and I remember particularly, I think it was Modern Warfare, there was a lot about snipers in that, and something about Gilly camouflage and things like that, so so that kind of sparked a few memories in my aging brain to remember what Gilly meant. But that's what they say, the same. A Gilly lacing system, and again, it's one of those great little details on the shoe that at first glance you wouldn't even pay attention to, but then you look closely at it, it's like, wow, that's really cool. A, in its physical design, but B, also in the way they've got the word Reebok running up the length of the shoe. Very, very cool. And speaking of running up the length of the shoe, might as well go to the top and look at that tongue at the top there, because that's another place where you see that red, white and blue sort of branding, and it's exactly the same branding that's on the laterals to finish off that sort of red, white and blue effect. So very cool lateral side or lacing systems or whatever you want to do. I'll just quickly pop down to the toe because it is the name of the shoe, the red toe. There's nothing really to tell you other than it's suede and it's red. There's nothing you can look at in the picture here that gives you like a wow factor, but since it is the name of the shoe, it's probably worth having a look at the front end of it, and then we'll jump to the back end of it and have a look at one of my favorite things on the questions is the way they've got the Reebok and the Q slammed in together right at the top of that heel section on there, and you can see the circle, and then down in the bottom corner of the circle, the sort of wave of the Reebok lines gives it that capital Q effect for Q for question. Very cool. And then when you drop down below that to the other half, if you like, of the heel, you can see the 3 on the back there. Both of these panning out to look at both of them together with that red and the white predominantly sort of popping off the shoe. And I think they did that because of the outsole, and you'll see the outsole wrapping around the 3 there, which is a translucent blue. So when you've got a red and a white, heel to the shoe, that translucent blue gives you that third color. And speaking of the outsole, let's get to that as the final thing to look at. So flip these guys upside down and have a look at the outsole. 3 massive points to look at. A, it's a translucent blue outsole, which is always very cool and looks great on these shoes. But B, the thing that I really dig about it is the next 2 points. One is that they've gone with, I think it's the red Reebok imprinted on the outsole, and then within the outsole they've got the blue Reebok logo on the inside, so it's almost like a 3-layered outsole. The red Reebok in letters, and then the outsole itself in light blue, translucent blue, and then through that you're looking right onto the inside to that Reebok logo, so very cool. And then at the back a little window into that hexa-like cushioning again. So then back to the whole shoe. You know, I think I hope I've made the case for the title of this video, hiding in plain sight. I hope when you first looked at the shoe you were like, you know, pretty simple looking shoe, but now that I've gone through all of those details on it, you're like, you know what, actually there's a lot more to this shoe than meets the eyes. Butter's right, hiding in plain sight. There's a bunch of very cool features on this very cool shoe celebrating its 25th anniversary year. And speaking of celebrating things, I'm going to celebrate an early-ish night. It is just after 11 o'clock on, is it Tuesday today? No, I think it's Wednesday today, and this will be Friday's video. But this is quite early for me to shoot a video, and I could get this all wrapped up by midnight, and then I'll get maybe 6 or 7 hours sleep, which is a lot for me. So I'm going to go ahead and try and do that. Just thank you guys for checking out the content as usual, and I'll say the thing that I say at the end of every single one of my videos, which is that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.